she never campaigned on trying to get Donald Trump like some of the other, like at least one other.
I can play the soundbite, Michael.
Donald Trump was not in any way. No, please do, because you won't find him when she campaigned for office, because Donald Trump never came up in her election. And by the way, her election, when she won, it was praised by the supporters of Donald Trump because she ran on a tough-on-crime platform against the DA who
when you say
had
supporters
tried to
of
make
Donald
a case
Trump,
about another black.
What supporters of Donald Trump?
Bernie Carrick. Bernie Carrick. Go ahead. But anyway, let me just go into the guts of what you're arguing. Look, there's no question this was a lapse in judgment on her part. And as you point out, not the first one. We write about the whole what were you thinking moment in the book where she posted a fundraiser for a friend who was running against one of her targets. Clearly a misstep on her part, and clearly the relationship with Nathan Wade was a misstep. But absent Ashley Merchant, the lawyer for Michael Roman, coming up with evidence to disprove what Nathan Wade said in a sworn affidavit and what Fani Willis put in the motion on last Friday, this is going to blow over a lot quicker than you think, because when you get down to the guts of it, there's going to be a hearing next Friday before Judge Scott McAfee, and he's going to ask Ashley, he should ask Ashley Merchant, the lawyer for Roman, one question. Tell me how the relationship between Fani Willis and Nathan Wade prejudiced your client. And she'll be stumped, because there's absolutely no evidence that it did. His constitutional rights were not violated. There was no evidence of prejudice in the case. There was no evidence of any conflict that actually makes any difference legally under the law. So I think I agree with Anthony Chris, the University of Georgia law professor, who said the odds that this is going to amount to anything legally just went from 5% to 0.05.
So let's agree. Let's agree, as I said, that I don't think the judge is going to disqualify her, right?
Now you are asking her to step down,
correct.
And I should point out, look, this what began here? What began this whole kerfuffle? It's the lawyer for Roman saying Nathan Wade wasn't qualified for the job. Now, in fact, he has a fairly respectable legal career, and we talked to a lot of the grand jurors who saw him in action before the special grand jury, and most of them praised him, thought he did a pretty good job.
That's a subjective standard.
He was never going to litigate the case. He was never, of course, but he was never going to litigate the case. He was never going to be the trial lawyer. He was the case manager, and, most people think he did a credible job. The point is, if there is an expert on prosecuting a RICO case, there is only one in Georgia who stands above everybody else, and it's Fani Willis. She did the most sophisticated, important RICO case in the history of Georgia. She's got the chops on this. She was the star litigator of the Fulton County DA's office for years, and you can read about just what a star she was in Find Me the Votes. I'm not defending her judgment here. We have a pretty nuanced
But don't you think that there's something different, Michael?
But the fact is, if you take off the table the best lawyer, the best litigator,
I understand.
RICO,
I get it.
You're going to undercut the case.
I get it. The people who want Donald Trump convicted and they want him thrown in prison are going to say...
No, if you want a good trial from top-flight lawyers, you want Fani Willis in the courtroom.
And if you want the perception of the objectivity of justice being done, you wouldn't have had Fani Willis in this to start with. But she's there, and she's elected prosecutor. She's got a lot of autonomy on that. Fine. That part's behind us. But now, there's not one moment where you recognize we're talking about prosecuting the former president of the United States. It's not the same.
Of course.
You don't apply the same sort of this is the standard for disqualification. You're right. You've laid out correctly the legal standard for disqualification. But there's something more at play when you're talking about prosecuting the former president of the United States, and that's why it's helping him so much politically. Because so many people are supporting your point of view, which is, let's forget forget about this. Let's have her just go get him.
No. Hold on a second, Dan. First of all, Trump got his bump in the polls not from the Georgia case, from the Alvin Bragg case,
and then from the
New
Georgia
York,
case,
which came off as kind of trivial and legally unsound. And by the way, if as a result of this delay from the U.S. Court of Appeals, Alvin Bragg ends up being the first case brought, that's going to help Donald Trump. That's what's going to give him a big ledge. But the Georgia case is much more serious. And by the way, it's far more consequential than the Jack Smith case in Washington. In the Jack Smith case, Donald Trump is the only defendant, the sole defendant. Right. Donald Trump didn't do what he did by himself. He had an army of Confederates, of co-conspirators, from Rudy Giuliani to John Eastman, all the way down to the bail bondsman Scott Hall, all of whom who were doing his bidding, putting pressure on state officials, making false statements about election workers like Ruby Freeman. This was a conspiracy case as outlined in the Georgia indictment.
Let me ask you,
and that's what makes it, in some ways, the most significant of all the cases brought against Donald Trump.
Thank you for watching. Go to NewsNationNow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.